For the past 9 months, a venomous debate has raged across large swaths of the internet. Some have called it a progressive culture war against bigots. Others have called it the frontline battle against neo-Puritan, sex-negative, identity politics-obsessed zealots. Some say it's an organized harassment campaign against women, and others say it's a consumer revolt fueled by a lack of journalistic ethics in games journalism. It's been hotly debated by the opposing camps regarding which is the narrative that truly represents reality. But what is Gamergate? Actually, it's about education reform. This sounds outrageous, does it not? Well, don't take my word for it. I invite any viewer to please check out the citations given in this presentation and vet the information for yourself. In addition to the plethora of citations which will be included in the info box below, there is a massive torrent file which accompanies this presentation, which has over 40 hours of relevant videos, podcasts, interviews, PDFs, etc., which I was able to obtain through legal means. With that out of the way, let's see where this rabbit hole takes us. So it's about education reform, huh? Could there have been someone that was pulling the strings? Someone that tricked other people into doing their dirty work and pushing an agenda that's far more sinister? Like maybe an agenda involving billions of dollars in corporate and financial interests involved? I don't know. That sounds like a tinfoil hat conspiracy. I mean, it doesn't seem very likely that a corporation would try to influence the public in any way when there's billions, possibly trillions of dollars in future profits to be made, but I guess we could entertain the idea. So, if a conspiracy was involved, what connections would there be? Wait, list.
Go back to pull, you stupid poopy conspiracy head.
And also remember, it has already been proven that Mr. Sawyer and Microsoft External Research have worked together very closely since at least 2007. So there really should be no doubt at this point that killing gamers was a coordinated assassination attempt. And after everything that's been covered, it should be no surprise that both Gates and Wested are mentioned by name in a documentary titled "Who is Behind the Privatization of Education? Gates, Broad, Kipp, Pearson, Wested, and the Gulen Schools." And that report made it painfully clear that games are the perfect carrier for indoctrination, subversion, or even overt propaganda. I'll just leave it at that. But you know who else does work for DARPA? Yup, Ben Sawyer, that guy who started the Serious Games Initiative. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed your daily dose of red pills.
So I gotta give a big shout out to everyone that helped me out. You know who you were, and I know who you were, and I will never forget it. But what if I were to tell you that pedophilia is a basic tenet of the progressive ideology? You think that's hyperbole? Let's look to Germany, where the modern progressive ideology based on social sciences has its roots. In 2010, Germany's Der Spiegel newspaper published a 3-part series on the sexual revolution in children. Part 1 was titled, "How the Left Took Things Too Far." Quote, "Germany's left has its own tales of abuse. One of the goals of the German 1968 movement was the sexual liberation of children. For some, this meant overcoming all sexual inhibitions, creating a climate in which even pedophilia was considered progressive." The article goes on to report real documented abuse by German leftists against children. And this isn't alleged abuse. This is Germans experimenting sexually with children and documenting the results because they felt they were doing nothing wrong. It was just scientific, progressive, social science. The Southern Poverty Law Center is becoming more open about being in the business of propaganda. Now, they're using obviously photoshopped images to represent armies of alt-right soldiers on the attack. In their recent article titled "New Alt-Right Fight Club Ready for Street Violence," it uses a photoshopped army of base stickmen. Why is the Southern Poverty Law Center so scared that conservatives are finally starting to defend themselves against violent anarchists? Why are they so scared that they need to Photoshop pictures for propaganda? Evergreen State College is closed due to threats of terrorism. The threats come after racial turmoil. The school recently held a day of absence where white students and faculty were expected not to show. When a Jewish faculty member, Brett Weinstein, dissented, all hell broke loose. In the Washington Post, it states, officials received an anonymous call Thursday morning from someone claiming to be armed and headed to campus. I guess this is what progressivism gets you. Threats of terrorism because a Jewish professor wouldn't be told to stay out of his classroom.
Mass Union 38 additional. 38. RP is now calling back advising that her husband was stabbed. We are sending aid now as well. 38. 5059. 63, I'm Samish Island and Scott Road. 389, just about it. 60 Cascade, do we know where the son is at? Make the bell check with a call taker, he is the perpetrator. Samish Island, med call, contact 6 at 4767 Wharf Street. Med 4, Samish Island, med call. Union 38, confirming you want aid to stage. Across Samish Island Road and Russell Road. To figure out where he's at. Respond. Tax 6. Trying to get that from the call taker. They are advising the knife was thrown on the side of the road. Scene, laws en route. Scene is not secure. Scene is not secure. Cassie clear 1600.